This is Dave Caruso, and it's no surprise that you're picking up what Mitch and Mark are laying down right here on Neighborhood Weekly Radio.
We are very proud to have Dave Caruso with us tonight. And
this
Dave,
is exciting.
From Detroit, Michigan, multi-talented. We were going through this earlier, and we're thinking, okay, songwriter, talented enough to get up and actually make beautiful music on the stage and on records.
Yeah.
Teach people how to write music, and on top of that, you must be like a chef or
Potter.
And Dave also does the best interviews, and this comes straight from Chip and the folks at Hangabouts. So, Dave, welcome to the show. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself other than what I just said.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
it's
you're
a thrill,
welcome.
and I can't believe you played like just about every favorite artist I can imagine before you brought me on. So that's great.
It made the material easier for us.
When I was going...
Yeah, you're like picking what can we play? What can we play? Oh, just play a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
We are, in case, I don't know, I know there's so much out there for internet radio and stuff, but I still think to this day, we might be the only station or the only guys who we have no idea what we're going to do when we come into the studio.
Our prep time is like turning the computer on and saying,
pretty rare.
Let's hope it boots up.
But we do have pretty similar taste in music because I've been listening for a few weeks now. And
excellent.
every week I hear great stuff. I've been adding some stuff to my collection based on what you guys play.
Well, thank you so much. So we actually wanted to talk about a couple of things. And one of the things for me is the fact that you are getting some of the best interviews out there. I listened to your Crenshaw interview. I listened to Bill Lloyd. Great stuff. You are well prepared. You know your stuff. And we went on YouTube and saw a couple of the things. And you want to talk about the taps? Was it? I think.
It was an interesting thing with taps and the melody or the theme song from The West Wing.
Well, I got one thing wrong on it. I said trumpet, I think, and I should have said bugle.
Bugle,
because a bugle
right.
only plays 3 notes.
Right.
And that's the whole point. But the theme song to The West Wing, and I got my keyboard right here, but I didn't have it on. So give me a second while I turn
Okay,
it
here we go.
There we
Perfect.
go.
Listen, we're getting multimedia here.
Maybe. Oh, there we go.
Oh, beautiful.
All right, look at this. Maybe there's a live song coming.
I'll tell you what.
Da, da, da. So it does this da 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 da
Yep.
da 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 da. All those phrases are in it, and I show that on YouTube. And it's got quite a few hits for people, who love the show. You can tag the.
I enjoyed it without even liking West Wing, and I'm not a fan, but I just never really got into it. But
Are you going to buy a keyboard now?
no, you have one.
I do
Mitch
have
has a
one.
baby grand up in the studio up there.
I do have a baby girl.
Nice.
So you guys can talk a little songwriting because Mitch is a wannabe songwriter.
Yeah, truly, I want to be better.
And that was the thing I missed out on, was the fact that you actually teach songwriting.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that process and where you've been with that.
Well, I started being in the music business over 40 years ago with my 3 brothers in a band called Caruso. And we went through many different names, but we settled on Caruso.
I like that. It seems to fit.
It does seem to fit. And there's 4 of us, and we had a good time for about 13 years.
Nice.
And then when I went solo, I started to, I didn't really have the gear or the computer or the guitar chops, to do everything myself right away. So I did a lot of stumbling getting started as a solo artist. But ultimately, I've got 4 things out there now, 4 albums out there, and another one already underway.
Nice. That's great to hear.
Nice.
But I was looking at these. I know I've always wanted to teach songwriting, and I have a lot to offer, I think. And I started with one course, Songwriting Essentials, and I said, where can I teach these? Well, you can't teach them at a college unless you have a 4-year degree, and I don't. But I did go to school for music, and I went to college for 7 years because I was touring. I was touring college.
You have a 7-year degree.
So, yeah, so I could only take one class at a time. It took forever, and I think I got the equivalent of an associate's degree. But then I was looking around for where could I do this, and the local adult education here in downriver Detroit, there was an opportunity to sell my class there, and lo and behold, a bunch of people signed up for it. So I find out it's popular as an idea, and before you know it, 5-6 years later, I've got 16 classes.
That's awesome. That's great.
All on different topics. So it started out as a 6-week thing, and the students said, well, this isn't long enough. We want more. Like, they just wanted to do it. Oh, they don't have anything like that in their lives. And just like when I was growing up, of course, in the 70s and 80s, when I was starting to write for the first time, well, the 80s mostly, there was just books at the library. You know?
Yep.
You couldn't connect with anybody. There's no internet, and I didn't know anybody that was a songwriter, so you had to learn on your own. But now you can get together with other people who write and share what you're doing. And I'm big on the whole craft thing because, you know, if you can only write when inspiration strikes, you know, good luck with that. That's great. But if you can craft as well, you know, do both if you can. You've got a great ear, you're going to come up with some good things. But if you know a little bit about what you're doing, it gets bigger, and you can write more consistently, more often, and like it. Not hate your own writing, you know.
I noticed that you have one of the classes is on collaboration, which I thought was kind of cool. And did you and your brothers write together, or were you writing most of the stuff back then? How did that work
When
out?
it started out, I was the only writer, but we quickly found out that I was writing a lot of ballads at that time, like a ton.
How old were you?
I think I wrote my first song in my teens.
Did you have a lot of broken relationships already at that point, or?
No, I
the
liked,
balladeers.
The funny thing is I liked balladeers.
Yeah.
You know, I liked the James Taylors, the Billy Joels, the
Gordon
Elton
Lightfoot.
Johns, anything. Yeah, but even Barry Manilow.
Yeah.
You know what? You
anybody
found
who's
some
writing
fans here.
hits.
The Carpenters, we're into all that
Carpenters
stuff.
too,
Yeah.
for sure. But any melodic pop, and that's because I listened to AM radio in the 60s as growing up as a kid. So AM radio was all hit radio, you know, and it was all melody. So that's why my first guest on the podcast was Tony McCauley. You know, he wrote so many good pop hits, or co-wrote them. And that's kind of where my sweet spot is.
So
But,
talk us through,
sure.
how did that come about where you were able, did you reach out to publicists, like to get that first
Totally
interview?
by accident.
Really?
Totally by
So
accident.
cool.
You know, I never thought in a million years I would be an interviewer, but I always did know. Everybody I talk to says, wasn't it thrilling to talk with so-and-so? And weren't you a fanboy? And I'm like, no, I wanted to talk shop. You know, I don't want to hang out with my idols to drool. I want to hang out with my idols to talk shop. That's
To
the
learn,
whole point.
right? It's learning
Yeah, I wanna-
process.
And, of course, I'll never get that opportunity because I'll never be considered one of them. That's what I was thinking as a teenager, you know. So it never occurred to me. But at some point or another, you know, I don't know, it was 4 years ago, I was tweeting, or not tweeting, but Facebook posting a lot about Tony McCauley. It just would come up every 6 months or so. I'd post another song by him and say something about him. And I was pretty excited about it, you know, and maybe get more detail than the average person would. And out of the blue, his wife reaches out to me and says, would you like to talk to him?
Oh,
That
that
is
is
so cool.
awesome.
Wow.
She privately reaches out to me. She's still not friends with me. She just did that, and I didn't dare try to friend her.
You
Either.
know, good for her, though. That's pretty
But
awesome.
I said, well, you know, I think he wanted to talk, and he doesn't do that many interviews.
That is
So
excellent.
So I did call him. We had a really great chat for over an hour. Found out so many wonderful things about him. He's got all his original tapes. He was the producer, so as a songwriter. So he's got demos of stuff like, you know, she ain't got no money, clothes are kind of funny.
Oh, man.
He's got the demo. Of
Oh,
that.
jeez.
You know?
Man, that
that's
stuff.
cool.
That stuff. We grew up on the same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just as good as it gets, right there.
Well, that's exactly what made me want to write songs. Is a guy like he was one of the guys. So I said, you know, somebody should make a movie about you. They've got Standing in the Shadows of Motown. They got all the other things out right now. They got the Wrecking Crew movie. Nobody knows how many hits you've been attached to, and you know, just take the top 6 of them alone, and you're golden.
Yeah.
You know, Build Me Up, Buttercup.
Oh, my
jeez.
Lord.
Yeah.
Don't Give Up on Us, Baby.
Yeah.
Which he wrote solo.
I'm getting chills right now. Just
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. These
Well-
are like top songs.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we hit it off like a house on fire, and I talked to the lady who did the Partridge Family, the Cowsills movie, the Cowsills.
Right. That was
Partridge
fantastic.
Family, modeled on the Cowsills.
Yeah.
And I reached out to her and asked her if she had any advice, and she gave me some tips and stuff. But I got the impression that watching her try to get that movie bought. Like she took her forever to get all the interviews, and then she had to edit it. Then she had to sell it.
Yeah.
And that took forever.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have the money or the time for that. You know, I work. Well, before COVID, I worked.
Yeah. Right.
but what I decided instead is I said I could interview him.
Yeah.
So I called him back, and I emailed him back and said, would you like to do an interview? And I still didn't have Songwriter Stories at this point. Did the interview, came up with a concept, said I could do this, and I didn't even know I could do it. And it came out pretty good. So
that's really good.
It's really good.
I just do the best I can trying to get
No, it's awesome. And not too long after that, I think maybe number 4 or 5 were the Hangabouts, right? They were somewhere in, in the early days. Have you did you know Chip at some point before that? Or
I did. We had been in communication before that, and I loved their music. And I actually played keyboards for them once.
Okay.
Super cool.
Chip's a great friend. They're all good friends of mine.
Oh, that's
but
great.
Chip and I talk at least once a week on Facebook. So
there's a very big presence on NWR from Detroit.
Absolutely.
I mean, we got Tom and the Hangabouts and stuff. So that's really cool.
Nick Punty?
Yeah, Nick.
Yep.
We love Nick.
Yep.
And so anyway, let's do a little music. So from the album Radiophonic Supersonic, and I'd like to hear first sort of how you came up with the name of the album, and then we'll play Little Miss Sunshine. So tell us a little bit about the song, about the name of the album.
I'm a big believer in album titles, and you can tell this by looking at them, that are unique. So Cardboard Vegas Roundabout, you're not going to find that anywhere else.
No.
If you're searching me, a lot of people say, my song is called I Love You, and the album's called I Love You. Okay, good luck finding it.
Big trouble.
There's a million I Love Yous out there, and you name both the same. So Budapesto Manifesto, Radiophonic Supersonic, I want something that's but I've been kind of nerdy on the first two, so I wanted radio in this one for sure. And Supersonic just sold me.
Nice.
So tell us about the tune, Little Miss Sunshine. We're going to play next.
Oh, Little Miss Sunshine, every once in a while you come across somebody, and it's usually a woman, this is my opinion, that's just, she's always got a smile. She's always going to put it out for you. Even if she's privately got some pain going on or some problems, she's not going to show it, and she's going to be the one that lifts everybody up. And it's a composite, but I do have a niece that was a big part of building that character.
All right, that is so cool. We're going to play that next. So this is Little Miss Sunshine by Dave Caruso.
And when she faces a day with a smile.
So we're here with Dave Caruso. Dave, tell us a little bit more about what we're talking about how you go, some of your classes, and how you go about, you mentioned writing lyrics with the music, writing music for the lyrics, and all of those kind of good things. Yeah,
so I have different classes at DaveCarusoMusic.com is my website. And at DaveCarusoMusic.com, you can go to the page that's called Songwriters. And on that Songwriters page, it lists all the classes that I teach. And I try to pick what people are interested in. Even the songwriters that sign up tell me what they want. So there's everything from songwriting essentials to creative songwriting to techniques of successful songwriters, where we think of something like I read a lot of books by songwriters, and somebody might say, this is what I do to write sometimes when I'm stuck. And I'll use that as a one of the weeks of the 8-week course. We meet 8 times over 8 weeks on a certain day of the week, and we do it with video. And we go around the circle, so each person in the class gets to play the song they wrote last week. We write a song every week. You can write as much of the song as you can. Not everybody can keep up, but it really makes you push. Like if you're sitting, if I'm waiting for you to write a song on your own time, it might never happen. But if I say, you've got to have a song by next week, and here's something you can write about, and I give you enough of a, wide berth to run around in, so give you like a topic, like we're going to do alphabet soup. So spell something out. Or we might do by the numbers, so you've got to have a number in your title,
Oh, cool.
Or I might give you something to make you think of a. We did one on chord changes just now. So chord changes, common chord changes, popular chord changes, and sometimes we used ones that other people used already. But I would say we did something with unusual chords, like a diminished chord, and a diminished chord has a very kind of unusual sound to it, So we would write a theme to go with that was sort of mysterious. You know, I want your lyric to be about something that's a mystery or something. And then people got excited about that. Well, if I can play that chord while I'm saying that thing, you know, it will build. I can build on that.
I like that. Really cool to have the piano in the background.
That's right.
To this interview. Not to put you on the spot, I guess. Not to say not to put you on the spot. Are there any folks that have come out of the program that have written anything we might know or that we could go look for?
Not yet.
Okay.
Because a
It's
lot
early.
of the people that say, I've had about 100 people sign up so far. I've taken 100 people through the courses so far. But I haven't gone national yet. So I've mostly done it. I do have a songwriter in Arizona that has signed up. I have 2 in North Carolina, but most of them were local. So
all right, so let's get out there to Dave Caruso Music and get yourself signed up. Mitch, you need to get signed up.
Maybe I should get signed up. Yeah,
because Mitch has hit a wall a little bit.
Well, that's because I ran into it.
I can help you kind of get on the on-ramp first before you jump in the class.
Yeah, exactly. My problem is my inherent laziness to finish a song.
Oh, man. Well, you know,
I've got I swear, 120 songs of various incarnations.
But Dave, do you see this? I know because I've tried writing. Not songwriting, but I've written a couple of things. I was a ghostwriter to a ghostwriter once, and we'll tell you about that story another time. But there is this point at which you almost do you run into people who sort of fear finishing just because they think it's not going to be good enough?
Well, I think people are their own worst critics sometimes, and find that again and again, even me. One of the things you do is you have to love everything you write first, right? Like, oh, that's great. This line, they're going to love this one.
Talk yourself
and
into
then
it.
You look at it the next day and you're like, that's a piece of crap. You know?
Yeah.
So you go up and down. But I think what I tell everybody, and the most important thing I can tell anybody as a lyricist, is when you fill your page up with words, when it's completely finished, when every verse is filled in, and you're like really happy because it's done, that's your first draft.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody says, but I've been drafting all along. I know, but you just now got all of the words in one place for the first time. That's your first draft.
That's a great
And they're
point.
like, I don't want to work any harder than this. I'm done. I'm a music guy. And they quit. But then they can't have any layering. They can't have any double meanings. They can't do as much. And you can make it better.
I go through lyrics over and over, and I refine and change lines, and just to get it. You don't want it trite because it's so easy to go down that road. You want something that's
and everything has
clever,
to rhyme
but
and,
not making it seem like you're trying to be too clever. Like it has to be natural.
Yeah, well, there was when I first found Elvis Costello, I thought that the idea was to be. It's like finding Edgar Allan Poe when I was a short story writer.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm going to say not unlike on every sentence.
Exactly.
Or you find Elvis Costello is really wordy, and so you start being wordy and start being clever. Well, not every song needs that.
Right.
So you have a song like Little Miss Sunshine. In spite of her pain, she never complains. And that's what that little short two sentences needs there.
Right.
It tells you the whole song there.
Right. It tells you that. It's like a short story onto its own there.
All right, let's move on to the next tune. So this one is from Cardboard Vegas Roundabout, and it's called The Art of Erica. So if you could fill us in a little bit about this one.
Well, I thought this would be really fun to write. I had The Art of Erica as a title because it sounds like the art of erotica. And I thought, well, what would that song be about? And I said, what about a woman named Erica who is an art teacher, and she snares men into relationships and possibly kills them.
Nice.
Wow.
By saying, you can learn how to draw in 7 easy lessons. Come and see me. And then, terrible things.
So it sounds like you and Erica have a lot in common. This is Dave Caruso, The Art of Erica, and I'm going to turn off the microphone right now.
There you go.
The art of Erica. I trace she's bound to leave a mark. My favorite work of art. That's Erica.
So, Dave, thank you so much for joining us tonight. So that song had a little bit of an Elvis Costello feel to it, and we know for a fact that he is one of your favorite songwriters. Talk about him and talk about some of the other biggest influences on your songwriting.
Well, as I said, I used to write ballads a lot, and then I actually didn't give my brothers credit when you asked me that question. They did start to write, and then And on the first EP, that we did like 5 singles, and I think the first 4 singles I wrote all the songs. And we were also writing, I was writing in the studio all the time, and none of that stuff ever saw the light of day. And then we came up with our first EP, and they wanted to write. So they started writing with me, and also by themselves. And then the last EP before I left the band was all me. But they had developed their talents, and I wanted to go in a pop direction like that. So I went to Elvis Costello. He just blew my head off, with the lyrics. The lyrics were just so much better than anything else that was out there. We talked about pasting lyrics on top of a song and calling it done. I don't like that, I want them to work together. And so then I dial it back, and I get into some other people too. But Marshall Crenshaw's debut album just blew me away. Loved it to death. I liked Matthew Sweet, 100% Fun, and Blue Sky on Mars. So there's a lot of stuff that shaped my writing through. And you make decisions. You say, I want to do more of this and less of that.
Mm-hmm. What I found interesting in your interview with Marshall is how he still to this day doesn't care that much for his first album, right? He loves the songs, but the production.
Wesley Stace did the same thing when he talked about his The Name Above the Title. That album was made to be his breakout album, and it was, and so many people love it. And there's a couple songs on there that he wishes weren't recorded that way. But he's polite about it. He's a genius. He's a very nice guy. Yeah, and so
was Marshall, I thought too. Yeah.
But Marshall doesn't want to do all those overdubs. He doesn't want to sing his vocal that many times. He doesn't want things to be prettified. And I kind of do. I'm like, you know what? I only get to make this album once. Why should I leave it flawed?
Yeah, it's a great point. He said he couldn't even hear his own guitars in the first record. Marshall did, and I guess who knows? But I'm in love with it. I will always be in love.
Yeah,
with
I guess you're expecting a different sound that you have, and when it gets produced, you're putting it into the hands of someone else who is thinking of it differently.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I noticed that the one that blew me away was when I was looking at the list, and I'm a big Crenshaw fan, but he had an album later on, I think it was 2013, and it was actually produced by Eric Ambel of the Del Lords. And I was like, wait a minute. And I went, and I hadn't ever heard it or listened to it, and it had a very Del Lords sort of feel to it. It was incredibly different from anything I ever saw from Marshall. So the production does matter, and I guess I don't, as a nobody, I never think of that really as much.
Well, there's a lot of reasons to choose different producers. One might be because your record company insists on it because they don't want you left to your own devices. Another reason would be like Elvis Costello would say, I want to work with that guy. He worked with Nick Lowe, and obviously they worked very well together.
Or T-Bone Burnett is busy.
Yeah, that's another reason. Yeah, T-Bone Burnett's busy.
All right, so the next album is called Budapesto Manifesto, which again, you're right. When you talk about that name, if you Google that, it's not going to come up anywhere else. And the name of the tune is Boomer, Jenna, and Lenny. Can you tell us a little bit about the tune?
Yeah, Boomer, Jenna, and Lenny came about from my love for a guy I wish I could have interviewed and never will be able to, and named Andrew Gold.
Oh,
and he
love
was,
Andrew Gold.
Just my favorite of all time. And he, was in Linda's band and helped produce Linda a little bit. And he had a song called Lonely Boy, which I played in my solo show for years. And there's a part that goes... And I love that song to death, and I worked that into the third verse. So listen to the third verse when we get there. But he does a story about a boy as a kid, and then he talks about the sister, and then he talks about the grown up, right?
Yeah.
Where instead of kind of like Cats in the Cradle, you got different stages of growing up. I did a different thing. I said, the boomer in the first verse is baby boomer. In the second verse is Jenna, it's Generation X. And in the last verse, we're talking about millennial, so it's Lenny. So we're talking about the way, as we grow up, we're all the same, no matter what generation we're from. We all go after the same things happen to us.
All right, so Goodbye You. This is Boomer, Jenna, and Lenny by Dave Caruso.
When they hurried you home from Riverside, Chester, baby, whatever you do, it's all up to you.
Buddha Pesto Manifesto. That is Dave Caruso with Boomer, Jenna, and Lenny. I love that song. Very much so. And we haven't talked about the cocktail yet. So this is Sonic Libations, and there's a libation that goes along with it.
Yes.
Watch your tongue. Yeah, so you asked me what I wanted to drink.
Yeah,
and
what are you drinking?
I really only drink one thing these days, and it's very rare, but Bailey's with coffee. And, of course, it's decaf now because it's late at night. getting late for old-timers like me.
Aren't you an hour behind us? No, you're in the same time zone, right?
Yeah, same time.
Yeah.
So Mitch forgot the Baileys.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's no problem.
Yeah.
That's okay.
No, it's a problem because now I'm just drinking straight vodka because I was mixed that with the Baileys.
One
We're a
more
little
of those and you're
hardcore.
anybody's.
Yeah, we're a little hardcore.
I actually like Bailey's just over ice.
Yeah,
I enjoy
over ice
that.
is good.
That's good,
So,
too.
yeah.
Good, like a shot.
yeah, decaf at this time of night would be a definite must. Let's talk a little bit about the next album. Oh, we're going back to Radiophonic Supersonic.
Yeah.
And the tune is called A Piece of Action. A Piece of the Action. So tell us a little bit about this song as well.
This is about addiction. But what kind of addiction, you can tell probably by the lyric. I'll let you figure it out.
Okay, let's play it, and then we'll come back out and we'll chat a little bit more before we head on to the next segment of the show. This is Dave Caruso with us tonight, and this is A Piece of the Action.
Where you posed against the doorway, just like John said, it's a fatal attraction. A piece of the action, just like John said, my beautiful assassin.
This is Dave Caruso with us tonight, and we have totally enjoyed this time together.
Yeah, it's really fun.
We played songs from 3 different albums. So, Dave, what's coming up for you, writing music and producing music and putting music out for us to dive into next?
I decided that I want to write my next album backwards, and I'm going to do all music first, at least for the first several songs. And the first 4 are done. They're not recorded, but they're written. And I did the music first, which is really unusual for me, but I'm hoping nobody will be able to tell. That would be the big trick. And because this was the Radiophonic Supersonic was my most popular album yet, I'm going to use a similar album title and try to sort of make it into a sequel type thing, but with all new songs.
Nice.
So see what that happens. I've also got a Caruso compilation coming up. So we put out an album with all of our, all of the songs that Caruso recorded professionally on one disc from 3 albums, even an album I wasn't on. And that album is called Caruso the 80s Remastered. That's available everywhere. But what I really want to do to go with my career is put In the Face, which is my second album with them, on its own album with a bunch of live tracks from Caruso that have never been released before. So that's almost ready. And you can even see a teaser of it on my Bandcamp page. But that's coming soon. And it's going to be probably more than twice as long as the original album. The original album only had 4 songs plus that song Get Together, a little piece of Get Together from the 60s. But
Youngbloods Get Together?
Yep, we did it
very
with
cool.
like 12-part harmony or something.
Oh, excellent.
I can't wait to hear that.
4-part harmony with 12 voices.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Just a little short thing.
Well, Dave, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your coffee with Bailey's. And boy, you're welcome anytime. We really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Pleasure was all mine, and
Yeah.
please look me up. Let's talk songwriting.
All right, and thanks for listening
We'll
to
do.
the show as well. We really appreciate that. We're going to send you out. This is actually a Sloan cover by the Hangabouts, and it's called The Answer Was You. And thanks for tuning in. Have a great night, Dave.
You too. Take care, Mr.
Thank
Mark.
you, man.
See ya.